To find a father for her unborn child, the woman slept with Frank the very first time they met. 5 months later, she gave birth to a son. Frank, a simple and honest man, chose to take responsibility and give them a home. So, they got married. But after the wedding, Frank discovered the woman wasn't as devoted. As soon as the baby was weaned, she handed the child over to Frank and went out all day, fully dressed up to have fun. One day, after she left the house, Frank decided to follow her. He carried the baby and entered a bar, only to find his wife in the arms of another man. That moment, Frank realized he had been deceived. When he got home, he confronted his wife. Huh? My sons. Her cold and indifferent attitude pierced Frank's heart. Furious, he shoved her. Her head slammed against the wall and she died instantly. Frank panicked. With trembling hands and a broken voice, he called her name, trying to wake her up. Suddenly, a drop of water fell onto her forehead. Frank looked up but was leaking from the upstairs bathroom. And just like that, a dreadful realization hit him. He rushed upstairs, but it was already too late. In just one night, he had lost both his wife and his child. At the age of 25, Frank was sentenced to 25 years in prison for premeditated murder. 18 years later, Frank underwent surgery for appendicitis and used the opportunity to escape from the hospital by jumping out of a second-floor window. Injuring his foot in the process, he limped into a supermarket and took a young boy hostage. He made the boy take him to his mother. "This is my mother. Adele. Mom, this is Frank. Needs your help. You're a good boy here, Adele. Got enough to offer you, right?" Frank hoped she could help him escape, but Adele, seeing his face covered in blood, was terrified. She didn't want to get involved and refused to help. Unexpectedly, Frank grabbed her son by the neck and threatened her, demanding her cooperation. With no choice, Adele agreed. At the checkout counter, Adele's nervousness caught the cashier's attention, but she didn't call for help. The three got into the car. Frank sat in the back with the boy and told Adele to drive home. Afraid for her son's safety, Adele said nothing to the passing police cars. When they arrived at her home, Frank looked around the cozy house. Adele took the opportunity to secretly grab a small knife. Meanwhile, Henry asked Frank about his injury. Frank admitted he got hurt jumping from the second floor. From a prison hospital, mother and son realized they had taken in a fugitive. Adele, now visibly shaken, poured Frank a cup of coffee. Frank sensed her anxiety. He promised to stay only until nightfall, just enough time to rest his leg. During that time, he would help around the house as much as he could, but Adele didn't trust a man convicted of murder. I understand how that could be hard to believe. Just then, a news report came on the TV. It was about a prison break. Henry looked over at Frank, fully aware that harboring a fugitive was a serious crime. Frank anticipated this. He suggested tying Adele up to make it look like a kidnapping. That way, she and her son wouldn't be held responsible. Adele agreed. Frank gently tied her to a chair, being extra cautious not to hurt her. His tenderness surprised Adele and eased her fear. Frank then went into the kitchen, pulled out some ingredients from the fridge, and prepared a full dinner. Knowing Adele's legs were bound, Frank carefully fed her, blowing on the food to cool it first. This thoughtful act surprised Adele, but she didn't refuse. Henry watched in disbelief. Since the divorce, his mother had become severely depressed and avoided all contact with men, but now she was accepting food from Frank. That night, police patrols hadn't left the neighborhood, so Frank had no choice but to hide for another day. He untied Adele and let her rest in her room. He himself slept on the couch. The next morning, Frank made breakfast. As they ate, Henry saw Frank's picture on the newspaper. Frank explained his past. Know that doesn't go to this story. They see that. How did escape? Told the guard at the hospital if he laughed, I was gonna jump out the window.
Just know that there's more to the story than what's in the paper.
And he heard that. Then Henry Schmore. Miss Lee's trick. Then Harry shared his own story. His treasure had left him and Adele for his secretary. Adele returned, holding the rope, suggesting Frank tie her up again, but Frank declined. The previous night's fake kidnapping was enough to cover their involvement. He noted he hadn't heard the morning train, possibly because it was the weekend, so he might have to stay another 2 days. Adele didn't argue. She took a bite of the breakfast Frank made. It was delicious. She realized she wanted to help him. To repay their kindness, Frank fixed the broken steps, replaced the car's fuse, and waxed the floor. He even took time to teach Henry how to play baseball. Frank was a family-oriented man. He cherished this brief warmth and connection. Adele noticed. That afternoon, it felt like the three of them had forgotten Frank's past. Adele even sewed a torn shirt for him, but the peaceful moment was interrupted. Frank grabbed Adele and told Henry to answer the door, warning him to be careful with his words. Their neighbor had come by with a basket of peaches. Seeing Henry at the door, he warned him to be cautious. A dangerous fugitive was on the loose nearby. Henry became visibly nervous, but he managed to send the neighbor away. Afterward, Frank praised him. Henry beamed with pride. Adele sent her son away, then confronted Frank. Son is not your lookout. You're not your accomplice, and I go, he's just a neighbor. What's the matter? What's going on here?
Never.
I see the way he looks at me. What? An encouragement pat on his shoulder. And I wanted for it. Not for that. She didn't palm what to show the drawer. I know. She didn't know what to say. The room grew awkward. To break the silence, Frank picked up a peach and took a bite. It was sweet. Adele mentioned the peaches were all right. If they didn't eat them soon, they'd go bad. But there were too many to finish. So Frank suggested they make peach pie together. He taught Adele and Henry how to knead the dough. The scene was warm and wholesome, just like a real family. In that moment, Adele felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Warmth, intimacy, and a gentle touch. Her hands trembled. Henry noticed. He realized his mother had fallen for Frank, but he didn't say anything. He liked Frank too. Frank had brought fatherly love and helped his mother out of her emotional darkness. The peach pie went into the oven. Its sweet aroma filled the entire house. Frank sat beside Adele, his hand resting on her waist. Adele leaned her head on his shoulders. Since the divorce, she hadn't felt this kind of desire. She cherished this moment, and so did Frank. From the living room, Henry watched it all. Then he noticed a patrol car passing outside. It was Frank's chance to leave, but neither Adele nor Henry wanted him to go. Tomorrow. Let's just have a little more time. I'm not gonna stop looking, Adele. They have dogs that can smell blood. They should probably let your stitches heal. You should stay. Faced with their longing, Frank made his decision. He would stay. If you want to know what happens next, follow me.